My name is Andy Moore, Deputy Town Supervisor. Supervisor Tony LaFountain is out today. He's recuperating from knee surgery that he just recently had, so he apologizes that he cannot make it tonight, but I have no doubt he is watching us on television as we speak. Welcome to the Wednesday meeting of the Penfield Town Board, February 6, 2019. And I'd like to go ahead and start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Amy, can you do roll call, please?
Yes. Cole. Here. LaFountain is absent. Metzler. Here. Moore.
Here.
Quinn.
Here.
All right, thank you. Moving forward with the agenda, I'm going to take one item out of order. Moving forward, every year we have a wonderful presentation and update on the Penfield Community Garden. And we do have some individuals here from them. I'd like to go ahead and welcome Dot Bennis and Dave Boyer, who would like to come up and speak and give us some information and further report on the Penfield Community Garden. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, I was thinking today, Carol, my wife, and I were thinking 11 years ago we started to look for a place to put a garden, community garden in Penfield. It's hard to believe it's been that long, and now this is the 10th year that we've been operating. And I think the thing that's really neat about it is it's not just growing things. It's a service to the community, and Dot's going to tell you a lot of the things that have been going on. Obviously, we started it because people wanted to grow vegetables and flowers and whatever. And that's been very successful, and she'll tell you about how many beds we have and how they've been sold out and all that other kind of good stuff. But I just wanted to say thanks to the town for back when Mike Cooper and I and let's see, Supervisor George, yeah, we got into it in the early part of 2008, trying to find where can we get some land in order to do this on, and then that property came up on 5 Mile Line Road, and it's been fun, it's been challenging, and I think we've really got a jewel that really provides more than vegetables to the community, and Dot will tell you a little bit about that.
We do have a couple of pictures, before and after pictures of our garden that I had sent downstairs. And so I'm not sure if they'll come up on the screen. But the garden in 2009, compared with the garden today, we've had some really great successes. One of the big things that we've done is we have put raised beds in the entire garden. That's been work over 3 years. That's been done by various different Eagle Scouts. You can see the pictures are up there now of the beginning and now our last season with all those raised beds. We've done a lot of work with Eagle Scouts in our community. Just this season, we had 2 raised bed projects in our garden, which completed all of our raised beds. Also, for the past 2 seasons, we have granted a bed to the Webster Extended Year School program. The children in that program, ranging from elementary grades all the way up through high school, have come to our garden on a regular weekly basis as part of their summer educational program. And it's been great to work with the people over at Webster, Rob DeRose and some other folks up there who have been bringing the kids down in the buses and working in the garden. Some of the high school students actually painted our beautification fence that's around our compost area. We redid our compost area, and there's a picture of that too. Our original compost area was made with wooden pallets. We had a Boy Scout, a young man, 15 years old, Caleb, who helped to put in cement block compost area, and it's really cleaned up that area, beautified it. We work really hard to try to keep it looking very nice. This year, we had a plant sale, our first plant sale, and we did that with Paths of Penfield. It was very successful. We also had a Girl Scout troop there that did a bake sale. We did that at the community center. Like every year, we had Nazareth students. We've been doing that, I want to say, for almost the whole 10 years. We've been having Nazareth students come. Their freshman orientation, we're part of their day of service. And those kids are always great, mulching our trail, and they're really interested in learning about what we do at the garden. Some of the other things that we did this year are ongoing programs. Those programs include donating food to the Penfield Ecumenical Food Shelf. We have a program at the garden where we collect extra produce. We bring it over there weekly. And I've been told by the folks over there that the clients of the food shelf really do enjoy getting the fresh organic produce. We also partnership this year with Penfield Rotary and the First Baptist Church of Penfield to beautify Four Corners with some planters through the summer and the early fall. And that, I think, was a really great community project for all of us together. We have a garden program at the Children's Garden that I run, and I've been running that for the whole entire time the garden has been in existence, because that's why I joined the committee, so that I could garden there with kids. And we had 35 kids in the garden program this year. We have annual spring and fall dinners with our gardeners, and we have 3 garden work days where our Penfield community gardens come in and they help to clean up the common areas of our garden. This year we added a Twitter and a Facebook to try to get current on communication, because communication is always a struggle, no matter whether you're using email or social networking. It's always a struggle to get information to people for some reason. But we added those this year. We participated in the Halloween. We raffle a pumpkin and some mums. And Jim Bauman over at Bauman Farms, it always graciously donates those items for us to raffle off at the community center. And every year we participate in the Penfield Independence Day Parade, which is a great event. And not to brag, but we did win first prize this past 4th of July, so that was really great. And we have sold out last year and the year before, and right now we only have 3 beds left. So if anybody wants to get a garden bed, they need to get down to the Recreation Department fast. It's $35 for one 16-foot by 7-foot bed, and if you want 2 beds, it's $55, but you might be hard-pressed to get 2 beds at this point. But we've been selling out and having waiting lists, and that really shows what the community wants. The community wants a space like this, and it's a good space. And a lot of people who are involved really enjoy what they're doing there. So I just want to touch on a couple of things that are going to be needs for our garden as we go into the 2019 season. Since the housing development was put up next door, where the cornfield was, we do have a lot of field mice that moved over into our neighborhood. So we've been battling with those since that has occurred over the past couple of years. We are a volunteer committee, and leadership renewal on committees it's a difficult task to get people to come back in and or to get involved in the first place. So we try to reach out to new gardeners, help them understand what the committee does and how we keep the garden going. And we're trying to build more interaction with the community and community spirit. We're having a pasta dinner on February 27th. It's going to be our 10th anniversary pasta dinner. It's a fundraiser that we're doing with Troop 230, because a young man from that troop, Ryan, is going to be putting up a shelter at our garden, which is going to be a great addition for us, so that when there is a sudden shower or a lot of heat, we can get out of the sun, get out of the rain quickly. So that dinner on February 27th is at the community center. The tickets are on sale at the Recreation Center, and we'd encourage all of our community members to come on out and have a nice pasta dinner with us, celebrate our 10th anniversary. There'll be raffles and prizes, and support Ryan and our Garden in the Shelter Project fundraiser. We're going to be installing solar panels on our shed this summer. Those solar panels will be used to charge equipment that we can use that's electric running as opposed to gas running equipment, or the oil-gas mix, which is always kind of a lot to deal with. And electric materials are also a lot lighter, so for some of our gardeners, it's just a lot easier. But it's better for the environment, hopefully in the long run, for us to be charging materials on solar panels. Our fence is 10 years old, which is pretty remarkable that it's lasted this long, so it's definitely going to need some fixing up. And that was put in, again, all with volunteer labor, and if you've ever been near the garden, you can imagine the effort that went into putting that large fence up. They had to rent this hydraulic digger to put those big posts in. It was a big undertaking for us. And if the demand continues the way it is, then there's consideration that the garden might need to expand if we continue to have sellout seasons. That's something that we could consider. And again, that would require leadership, and that would require support, which we're very lucky because we do get a lot of support from the town. I'll let Dave say a few more words, and we'll take questions if you have any.
Just wrap it up here, just as she said, we couldn't have done it without you guys. The town has been more than helpful. The Recreation Department does our registration, takes care of the monies, and the DPW has done a lot of jobs for us. They fix winterize the equipment and do lots and lots of stuff. So thank you all for supporting us, and I hope that you're proud of it, because we are too. So thank you very much. Any questions, comments?
No, I was just going to say, it seems like yesterday we were out planting the trees right there
Yeah.
along. I mean,
Bicentennial tree, remember?
yeah, the bicentennial tree. Yeah.
That was, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's been remarkable. I remember, when first on the board, Dave, we had a history going back to the Recreation Committee, and
Yeah.
and this was something that you were talking about before then, and so just to see how it's grown over the
Yeah.
last decade. I mean, early on, some of the growing pains with some of the drainage and the water distribution in some of the parking lot, but I think just a great partnership that's really grown over the last 10 years. So it'd be great to see what the next 10 years brings for you. So,
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
I just made a few notes as you were commenting. Really, I think that it can't be emphasized enough that this garden project, it's a real model for other projects, not just garden projects, but for community projects, community initiatives, because think of just all the different people and groups you just mentioned just now
Oh, yeah.
who've been involved. It's inclusive, you welcome everybody, you invite everybody, you include everybody to help out and to try new things. Everything, I made a list here. The town of Penfield, the food shelf, our highway department, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. I think I can recall Bracolo Garden Center as well.
Yeah, many
donated,
community groups, yeah.
Yeah, they sponsor our
And we
parade float.
can't forget Terry Rothfuss,
Oh,
who
absolutely.
I know
Oh, wow.
in the first few years certainly did a whole lot for you, and this is a great way to pay tribute to him
Yeah,
year after
sure is.
year. But, school groups, college, Rotary, you just mentioned so many different people who come into play, people who probably wouldn't interface with each other otherwise. So you meet new people, you
Right.
learn about
Yeah.
other things that are going on in the town, learn about, recreational opportunities or gardening opportunities. So I just think it's an incredible model for the rest of us in town who want to start up something as to how to do it right. And
Yeah,
I
we got
think it's
low
just great.
consulting fees.
Just some tomato seeds.
Bartering, yeah. It's just great.
Well, thank you very
It's just
much.
great.
Thanks for that.
Happy anniversary, and thank you for all you do. 10 years, it's great.
It
Yeah.
is great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Dot and Dave, not only for your participation and kind of being the founders of this, but also your leadership, keeping this moving forward when it first started with a couple beds to what it is right now. It's just tremendous, and you two deserve a lot of credit for
Well,
where
thank
it
you.
is today, so thank you.
And make
Thank
sure
you.
you put the information for your pasta dinner on your Facebook and
Right.
Twitter, because we follow that, we'll blast that out and share
Okay,
it.
great.
Okay,
And maybe we can stop by before town board that night. It's a Wednesday night, the first thing I
It
thought. you
starts
said
at
27.
4:30.
Oh,
So you
Okay,
can
I'll
come
be
in for the
there.
early bird special.
Yeah, I
You can
eat
even
anytime.
get takeout.
Yeah, you can take that.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for your time.
Thank you.
Good luck this season. All right, moving forward, we'll go back to the agenda to agenda item number 2, public hearing number 1. Amy?
The public hearing number 1, to consider the establishment of the Capstone Subdivision Improvement District at 1698 Creek Street. The legal notice was published in the Penfield Post on January 24th, 2019, and posted on the town website and town clerk bulletin board. 94 postcards were mailed.
Thank you. To our town attorney, does everything look sufficient for tonight's hearing?
Everything's in order, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Valentine, town engineer.
Good evening, Board. As you said, I'm Mark Valentine, the town engineer, here to discuss the creation of a special improvement district for Capstone Rise. Here this evening is Lou Massey, the owner of the property, along with his family, as well as Ed Martin, the engineer on the project, should there be any questions. This has been the board's practice in the last few years to create special improvement districts for special amenities on the property, so that those amenities are paid for by the future residents of the land. Being that Mr. Massey is the sole owner of the property, now is the prudent time to, form the district. This was a planning board project. It was approved in April 12th of 2018. And as part of that, condition number 5 in that resolution was the formation of this district. So the district would include the maintenance of the pond area, so the bi-weekly mowing of the pond, as well as a subdivision sign. Mr. Massey has pictures of the sign he'd like to put on the property, and he also has a cost estimate, so we can evaluate what that fee is or that impact is in the future. He will construct it at his own cost. He's constructing the pond and the subdivision at his cost currently. But as it moves into the future, the 17 homeowners, and you can see the subdivision map, the 17 new homeowners would pay a fee into that. That would be as part of their taxes. So they would pay for the maintenance of the pond. They would pay for the maintenance or any future maintenance of the subdivision sign that's going in as part of that. So this is the public hearing tonight. If anyone has any questions, concerns about the formation of that district, but I say the owner is here as well as the engineer if there's any specific technical questions about that.
Mark, the only question I have is there anything unique to this district that we haven't evaluated before under any other special improvement districts? Anything outside of what we, either monument signs or ponds or anything like that?
No, I mean, we just did Windsor Ridge a little while ago. They've got a sign as well as, they'll have a divided entrance. This has a little divided entrance at the front that covers the maintenance. Mr. Massey will be responsible for the maintenance during the construction portion of it. Once that's turned over to the town at the end of the job, once he's complete. But it's similar to anything else. There's nothing new and unique. The functionality of the pond is covered under our drainage district fee that everyone in town pays for, so that it covers all the ponds, stream cleanings, creeks, things we deal with at the watershed committee. So the functionality is covered by that. This is just kind of merely the aesthetic portion of it. So if the residents wanted flowers planted or something, that could be covered under that. We look at the basic maintenance of, weekly mowing, future maintenance of the sign if need be. So those costs aren't passed on to the rest of the residents. They're the benefit is to the residents that move into that neighborhood, therefore they would bear the cost of that.
Okay.
All right, any other questions from the board?
No questions?
Okay, then we will open it up for public comment. So anybody here in the audience that would like to ask any questions or make any comments to the town or the developer on this particular hearing? Okay. Hearing none, then I will go ahead and ask Mark any additional comments or any additional comments from the applicant.
Just passing around some of the samples. He's got some pictures of what the sign would look like. We've been working with him to make sure they're long-lasting materials. It's not going to be a a major headache for us or, an issue with that. He's using some AZEK material instead of wood on the sign. It's a wrought iron frame grate, as well as stone on it. He's used it in other locations. You've said it's been in for 20 years in another location that you've had it, or at least the stone and the similar.
Okay.
You want to talk about the sign a little bit?
I'm Massey with Mascot. A couple of things. We've been using this stone on houses and the application of it for about 18, 20 years now. So it's built exactly the same way as we put them on the houses. The gate, actually, we got from the house next door that we bought along with the property, and that gate was built in 1939 when they built the wrought iron railings inside and the light fixtures also. So we got that gate from there, and I thought it was an appropriate place to put it. So,
Great, thank you.
okay, thank you.
All right, any additional questions from the town board? Town attorney, anything on your end? Okay. All right, I will close the hearing. Oh, I'm sorry, sir? One question. Yes, can you come on up to the microphone so everybody can hear you?
If pushed, I can speak louder. I have
sir,
a question
please- sir,
pertaining
please-
where the pond is located.
Okay, sir, you need to, if you could please.
Introduce my...
Yes.
As in, who am I?
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Ed Finucane. I live on City View Drive.
Okay, thank you, Ed.
My question is to location of the pond. I have a regular problem with the basement in my house and the fact that I think I have a creek running through, but I'm not sure. I'm hoping that you would steal the creek to feed the pond. So that's basically my question. Thank you.
I'll take the first whack at it, and if there's more detail. Basically, it's located in the front of the property. So if you've been by on Creek Street, it's on the front, right on Creek Street. So it's already in place. Based on the infiltration rate we've seen, I don't think it's going to be much of a pond. It's going to be more of an infiltration basin. I don't think we've seen any water hold in it yet, so most of it will recharge back into the groundwater, which is actually better. And what the DEC and the environmental is looking for is more groundwater recharge. So it's on the front piece of the property. City View, you're up here in the back of the property, so you're this is downhill from your house.
Okay, and I believe there is a caller who called in, and if PCTV could put him through, that'd be great. Hello?
Hello.
Hi, sir. This is the public hearing for the Capstone Subdivision. Do you have a comment or question?
I do. My name is David Pete. I live at 1738 Creek Street.
Great, thank you.
And I was watching live streaming of the hearing, so then I had to switch my phone. But anyway, my question really has to do with where the water overflow from this pond would be carried away.
The connection actually ties into the existing county stormwater infrastructure that's along Creek Street. So it ties in, so if it does overflow, if it ever does fill up with water, it would connect into the county facilities and then connect in there. Ultimately, it goes, continues westward and, makes its way towards the bay from there.
So it goes in the stormwater
Goes
sewer
into
system?
the existing storm system.
Okay.
Yeah, that existing storm system has a problem, and they were working on it this past summer. The catch basin that's in the front of my property, they overlooked doing anything about, but until we got a hold of the engineer, and finally, mid-October, they came and tried to blast their way through and clean it out, but I'm not sure they were successful. We still get a fair amount of water at the end of the driveway, so.
Okay. What is your address, Mr. Pete, if you don't mind?
My address is 1738.
Creek Street?
Correct.
Okay.
And I'm on the same side of the street, so there is sort of a half-baked storm sewer that runs along appears to run along the east side of the street, and I say appears to because I have a hole in the ground with a cover on it, but it's not clear it actually does anything.
Okay.
Okay. I say I'll definitely follow up with you and take a look at that, and then also verify with our sewer department if they were out there flushing it out, how that went, and then I can follow up with you from there.
Yeah, it wasn't the when I worked with the sewer department in the past, they already said, well, it's a county road, and went to the county, and they had a project along Creek Street this past summer, along with the paving to try to repair and improve. In fact, they even brought a company in from Vermont to try to vacuum it all out. Hard to say how successful they were at this point. So.
Okay. I say we do work closely with the county DOT, so I can also reach out to them and see how
Okay.
they made out, and we can coordinate, and then I'll follow up with you as well.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the phone call.
Yes.
Okay, moving forward, again, the public hearing is closed. I'll close that. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Come on up. Yeah, please come up to the podium. I apologize, I did not see you over there.
My name is Robert Metz, and I live at 50 Bunker Hill Drive. In the past, I've talked to Mr. Massey about a swale, and if that is still in effect, or that's something you're planning on putting in, how does that affect the retention pond?
Mr. Massey, could you come up so everybody could hear?
He's talking about the swale that goes in the back of all of the yards on either side going all the way down. That is in now, but it's not totally complete because you have to grade it and seed it yet. And right where, in front of where that is, we have a topsoil pile going down either side. Excuse me. So when the houses are built, each one gets graded all the way through to the back of your house, right up to that 45-foot buffer area. So the drainage is in there now, but it's not finished because it has to be when the house is completed. But the drainage swale is in there now.
But it has nothing to do with the pond? Then?
Oh, no.
Okay,
No, no,
because
no.
it's so far away from...
Right. It does go into the storm sewer and then to the pond in a way, so it actually carries away a lot of the water that was in your yard previously.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Metz. All right. I believe that this concludes the public hearing. Kind of moving forward, this will probably be put on the town board agenda, or I'll probably go to the work session next week. Is that correct, Mr. Valentine?
Excuse me. I don't know if it'll be in next week or 2 meetings out.
Okay.
I was coordinating with Costello on some of the agenda items, but it'll be on a future work session item. Obviously, it'll be published the Friday before, so if anybody is watching from the public, we'll talk about it at the work session and see if there's any issues, concerns from there, and then depending on the board's thoughts, we'll go through the rest of the process of forming the district and handling the rest of
And
them.
we'll talk to Supervisor LaFountain, make sure he's okay with that, and then, obviously, the agenda gets posted on Friday afternoon. And I would encourage people to check that agenda to see if the items on that particular night moving forward. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Moving to item number 3 of tonight's agenda, communications and announcements.
Okay. Just a reminder that the town and county bills due date falls on a Sunday, so your extended due date is Monday, the 11th, for the full or first payment without interest. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. The public is invited to join Penfield Recreation for a family winter snow night out on Tuesday, February 19th, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. at Harris Wayland Park. Come play in the snow under the February snow moon. This unique nighttime experience at Harris Wayland Park will include snow games, building snow sculptures, sledding in the moonlight, snowshoeing on moonlit trails, staying warm by a fire, and viewing the February snow moon through a telescope, weather permitting, of course. Snowshoes will be available to borrow. Participants are asked to bring a flashlight or headlamp for snowshoeing and a sled for sledding. Warm refreshments will be available. This event is free for all ages. Everyone is invited. It is sponsored by Penfield Recreation and Wegmans, our wellness partner. For more information, please call Penfield Recreation at 340-8655. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn.
I have two announcements this evening. At some point, winter will truly be gone, and Penfield DPW will start attending to their spring projects, including filling potholes, repairing lawn damage, and repairing or replacing any damaged mailboxes. They will also repair sidewalk damage, trim some trees, and clean stormwater drainage ponds and sewer systems. If you are in need of mulch as spring begins, the town's mulch pile is currently stocked in the parking area on Columbus Crossing near the town hall. This is a free service for Penfield residents in partnership with Monroe County. Also, as a reminder, brush drop-off is open to residents year-round, Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the DPW complex, except holidays. We have a great group of dedicated people working at our DPW. Public safety and the safety of our employees is our highest priority and guides the decision-making every day. So certainly be on the lookout for our town crews when they're working and give them the space they need. I'll give a plug now to what we just heard about, the Penfield Community Victory Garden's first annual pasta dinner fundraiser to be held on Wednesday, February 27th, beginning at 4:30 p.m. Come to the Community Center on Baird Road for dinner and a raffle table to test your luck on some great prizes. This is a partnering event with Boy Scout Troop 230. Tickets can be purchased in advance by calling 340-8655 or right at the door on February 27th. Again, help support our Penfield Community Victory Garden with their pasta fundraiser on Wednesday, the February 27th. And that is all I have for this evening.
Thank you. Two quick announcements. Every February, the Penfield Trails Committee will host an indoor hike presented here at the Penfield Town Hall. This year's event will be held this Saturday, February 9th, beginning at 10 a.m. The topic of discussion will be Perspective and Process, Shadow Pines Land Use Update, with featured speakers Jim Costello and Mark Valentine from the Penfield Planning and Engineering Department. Costello and Valentine will review what has been going on with the Shadow Pines property since its purchase, as well as the status and future and planning for the property. There'll also be information on trails groups from around Rochester area, and some light refreshments will be served. Participants looking to attend this free presentation are asked to pre-register by calling Penfield Recreation at 340-8655. Again, that will be on the Shadow Pines property. We do have, Penfield did put together, at the request of this town board, a Shadow Pines Land Use Committee of residents throughout the entire town of Penfield, and they've been working very diligently on putting together future recommendations for use of this parcel. Looking forward to their recommendations here in the next couple months. The second announcement that I have is Penfield Town offices will be closed on Monday, February 18th in observance of President's Day. The library will be open for their normal operating hours. Thank you.
I have two announcements. The Penfield Players will perform their Winter Readers Theater show entitled The Unavoidable Disappearance of Tom Durnan on Saturday, February 23rd and Sunday, February 24th at 2 p.m. The Unavoidable Disappearance of Tom Durnan is directed by Justin Riley. Performances will be held at the Community Center, and theater admission will be free, but donations to the Penfield Players will be accepted. For details, if you want to have more information, go to penfieldplayers.org. And my other announcement is that my monthly community chat for February will be Tuesday, February 19th, 5:30 to 7 in the new book area of the library.
Okay. Mr. Horwitz, anything?
Nothing further tonight.
All right, thank you. Moving to the next agenda item, public participation. Anybody here in the audience that would like to speak before the board, you are welcome to do so. Okay. Yes, Jeff Burns.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jeff Burns. I live at 39 Scarborough Park. I'm here in my role as one of the founders of Friends of Shadow Pines. We keep hearing some possible construction proposals in Shadow Pines, and I'd like to put it to rest. Back in July, the school superintendent had sent a proposal to the town to use 10 acres for a bus garage, storage, and other uses. and the plan also appeared to show construction of a retention pond. And in December 4th last year, the Library Board of Trustees proposed that a new recreation center and library be constructed on Shadow Pines that could also include a indoor performance space, outdoor amphitheater, indoor coffee bar and cafe, and outdoor picnicking. Now, my understanding is that the 2002 Rothfuss Park Master Plan specifically laid out space for these items, and that there's even a circle there. There's a paved road going to the area where it could be. So I just want to make sure that that's the feedback that these groups are getting, that there is space. I think it's wonderful to be thinking ahead and thinking about what we might do in the future, but I'm just concerned we would like to see as much of Shadow Pines preserved as possible. So. Have there been any other proposals that we're not aware of? We've heard something about the Penfield DPW proposing some sort of construction at Shadow Pines. Has there been any such proposal?
No, I'm not aware of any proposal to do that. I've been quite active with the Shadow Pines Land Use Committee, and I don't believe there's been any conversation pertaining to that use.
Good. So I guess I would also like to know where you all stand on that. I mean, do you also feel as though we should minimize municipal construction there? We tried to protect it from residential development. Now we're hoping to protect it from that. Yeah.
You know, we're accepting all the, I mean, the committee is
Yeah.
accepting proposals, doesn't mean that
It's good to have all the
they're
ideas
going
out
to
there, but I
propose
just want to
those
see where we're
things.
going.
No, and you know, the committee, I think, has done a really nice job with giving everybody a fair opportunity to present their, you know, desire for the property. As you can imagine, there are a exorbitant amount of ideas. I forget what the number was, but I think it was over 100 different ideas for uses of that property, of the total acreage. And I think they've really, in the interest of fairness, allowed everybody to present their argument forward. Earlier mentioned that the committee did receive a letter from the school district pertaining, asking them to take a look at a portion of that land for a school bus garage. It's my belief that the committee did review that and did basically vote amongst themselves that that would not be an appropriate use for that property. So although no formal recommendations have been made to the town board, they're still going through that process, and I think it'll take another month or two to get that report, that document to the board, but I'm pretty confident that that will not be a recommendation on that list to the board.
Another area I have a concern about is that it's my understanding that the Shadow Pines Land Use Committee was told that discussions about the quarry were off the table, that was not within their scope. That seems puzzling to me because the quarry is directly across the street from Shadow Pines, as you know, and the reclamation plan calls for a very large recreational lake to be constructed there. So it seems, behooves me as to why that committee would not be looking at Shadow Pines in context to this wonderful recreational opportunity and perhaps development opportunity that will be coming down the road. That if we're really planning for the future, that should be part of the context that they make their recommendations.
Well, I mean, the supervisor made it very clear at the beginning what the function and mission of the committee would be. And we have to remember a couple key points. One is you have Whalen Road right between the Shadow Pines property and the Dolomite Old Castle property, and the fact that Dolomite and Old Castle owns the property. And I realize what you're saying, and with the reclamation plan, you know, making, you know, some form of statement or some written form of correspondence that says that the town should have some relationship with that property. I'm paraphrasing here, Jeff. But the fact still remains today that the town doesn't own that land. A private entity owns that land. And so whether it is in a reclamation plan or it's not in a reclamation plan, I think 25 or 30 years from now, which is the anticipated life of that property of the quarry, at least that's what the town's been told by Dolomite Oldcastle, I guess probably we'll have to see what they decide to do with it at that point in time as owners. It is privately owned as of today. The town does not have any, I believe, any legal rights to that property. Although, you should be conscious that it's there, and there is the potential 25, 30 years from now, if Dolomite and Oldcastle decides they want to sell it or give it to the town, donate it to the town, then, we can deal with it that way. Certainly, I think with the Shadow Pines Land Use Committee, what the residents could do, and I'm not going to steer them in a particular direction, but they could, they could allocate some portion of lands as just like future use. Some portion, let's say, of the back nine of future use of the front nine, doesn't matter where, and that future use could then just be allocated for something, that could occur 25, 30 years from now. I don't know. That's something that would have to be a recommendation from the resident volunteer members of that particular committee.
Yeah.
But, what you're saying is something that we've been thinking about as a town. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But, you can't deny the fact the town does not own that property at this time. And there is a road, Whalen Road, that kind of divides the Shadow Pines property and the Oldcastle quarry. So those are just factors to play into.
Well, in the reclamation plan, multiple times over, it seems that Oldcastle has certainly suggested that they'd be giving, that this land was going to be for the benefit, that the lake would be for the benefit of the town. It specifies recreational use for the town residents, talks about how the town could use this and the benefit for the town. I don't know, where that puts them in terms of what, it's been called a 30-year promise, that they had made promises of that sort, and it's probably longer than 30 years at this point. Plus, they had made very specific references to the reclamation work. All side slopes above water level will be maintained no steeper than 1-on-2 slopes. Backfilling, compaction, and regrading will occur as necessary to maintain this grade. Now they're continuing to dig, and it's been digging more, and that was back, 10, 20, 30 years ago when that was said. Who's watching that to see that there will be enough left there to have that type of grading? And shouldn't our committees in our town be in the position of looking at that and seeing where we are to make sure that really will be a usable space, whether it's in 10 or 20 years from now? In 1966, the town master plan called for closing the quarry within the time span of that master plan at that point because of all the residential construction that had occurred around that area, and said that, it's basically an inappropriate use there, and that should be looked at. So I'm not suggesting that anything dramatic like that be done, but I think that what we keep hearing is that it's another 20 years, and I understand they've been saying that for 50 years.
Yeah.
So
who knows? Maybe 20 years from now they'll say another 20 years.
Right.
And,
but I would
Jeff,
ask.
I think we've heard this from you many times. So I also think that it's not our position to tell the Shadow Pines Committee what to do. But you certainly can submit to them in writing or otherwise all of these ideas and ask them. Ask them to consider it.
Oh, thanks, Paula.
Ask them to consider your summarize or whatever you would like to submit at any time. Well, we welcome, we've told residents, I've told residents, you can submit to the committee your ideas, because I don't think that the committee was formed for us to tell them what to do.
Yeah. But
so
what I'm concerned about is
suggestion.
that my understanding is that they have been told that that's a restriction, that they're not to be talking about the quarry. So what you could do is remove that restriction. So that's what I would ask the town board to do, is to remove the restriction from the committee so that they can consider what the ramifications of the quarry in the future lake will be. It seems like it's just a common sense thing for what would be happening in the future. And related to that, I understand that the same thing was said about the Clark House, that the Clark House was off the table in terms of discussion for the Shadow Pines Land Use Committee. And in fact, the name of the committee was changed, and Clark House was removed from the name of the committee, whereas it originally had that name. So I would ask the town board, again, to remove that restriction and allow this committee, this town committee of citizens, to consider how the Clark House fits in with the long-term plans for Shadow Pines and with the lake that would be directly across the street from Clark House. I think they're all interrelated. And although there is a road blocking, between the two right now, if we think big as to what the potential is for the future, and there have been suggestions of creating a special district for not only Shadow Pines, but the quarry and Shadow Lake, and working cooperative with the stakeholders in those areas, that maybe that road could be redirected, that maybe there could be changes in that area. Again, there's such a huge opportunity that I think we should look at all the possibilities there. And this group right now, this town committee, is in a position to start thinking in that way, and for the town to be thinking what we can do in 20 or 30 years.
Yeah, no, and just to go back to your comment with the Clark House facility, yeah, when the committee was initially established, the town board was going to take the lead on the 6 acres, 6 plus or minus acres on the Clark House property, and then the committee itself, the resident committee, would work on the 206 acres per se. But obviously there's communication, and both the supervisor and myself spoke to the committee about that. We're looking at an RFP to go out here maybe within the next couple weeks to see if there's any interest from the private sector on use. We've been very clear with the committee that we're looking at something that would be complementary to the neighborhood, would complement the property, whatever that might be. We're certainly not going to make a selection if proposals come in without the advice and without advising the land use committee of what has come in. So there's going to be a partnership there, and there's going to be a distribution of information back and forth. We're not just going to operate in a vacuum with the Clark House facility, but the town board would take the lead on the RFP, going out, seeing what community interest is there. The Shadow Pines Committee will have the opportunity to look at the RFP. They'll have an opportunity to see what proposals come in, make some comments on those proposals, and then a decision will be made what we want to do moving forward, whether there's a really outstanding proposal that addresses what we're looking for is a part of the RFP and a part of a complement with the property and the community, or maybe just nothing is working at this time, and we take a little break from it and then go back out at a later time and see what level of interest is there then. So a lot of unknowns right now, but the Shadow Pines Land Use Committee and those residents that serve on the committee will be included in the information sharing of what's going on with the Shadow Pines Committee. It is not my desire, nor is it the desire of this town board, to operate in a vacuum when it comes to that Clark House property and not include the Shadow Pines Land Use Committee members in what's happening moving forward.
Well,
So.
I just want to make sure that they can discuss possible uses. They
Sure.
may have some other ideas and all. And for example, the cart house, where the carts are, could become a lodge or a pavilion or whatever you want to call it.
And that was discussed at the meeting
right,
last
yeah.
week.
Yep.
We talked about the potential for that being some type of a rental lodge, facility, shelter, whatever it is. And so the Land Use Committee is talking about those type of items, along with the barn across the street,
Yep.
too.
Good. One other area, and I'll try to finish up here, is our group has received a number of comments, and also we've noticed some on other areas on Facebook concerning the clear cutting of the trees along the perimeter of Shadow Pines. Now, I understand that many of these trees needed to be cut because they were diseased, and that's perfectly understandable. But I also heard that there were many of the trees were also healthy trees, and the explanation was given that it was in terms of field of sight along that area, and that there had been deer strikes in the area. But it appears they went a little overboard. I mean, it's a pretty massive clear cut there. There's nothing left in certain areas, and it would have been nice to at least have some stands of trees in that area. And was it necessary to do so much cutting? We've got a number of people that seem to be in shock about this, really, and they're concerned that it's changing the character of the area, and we don't even have the suggestions made from the committee yet that there's already a move to change the character of the area and the natural setting.
Well, I don't think there's any desire by this board or the Shadow Pines Land Use Committee to change the character the setting. I mean, yeah, you're right, and the supervisor has mentioned it multiple times about diseased trees, dead trees, dying trees, the amount of those pine trees that were thick, so if the tree was 25 feet high, the first 20 feet was pretty much dead, and then you had a little bit of growth on
Yeah,
top.
That's all very understandable. It's
Right.
where we get to the healthy trees. that we're
Right,
concerned. Yeah.
and so certainly clearing that area does allow better sight lines with
Yeah.
deer crossing over. That was one of the reasons why. But quite honestly, I've heard from some residents that I don't even know who they are, that it now opens up the whole view of the back nine that they really weren't able to see in the past with those trees there.
Yeah.
And I kind of use it as an example. When we were removing some trees, or when the town crews were removing some trees on the front nine, it's like a kitchen remodel. It gets worse before it gets better. And so you see it at its worst with the stumps and trees down and the big piles, and then it gets cleaned up, and then people drive past there and they're like, this really opens it up. I can really see the property. At least that's the comments that I have received, and I know some of the other town board members, when we talked about it, have received on the front nine when it was done over the summer, in the spring, moving into the summer and going into a little bit into the fall, but then also with some of the tree removal going on in the back nine along Whalen Road, that you get people now, and it doesn't look great. I mean, we have to admit that, but when it gets cleaned up, it allows the opportunity for people to see a property that they never really saw before from a different viewpoint driving along Whalen Road. And I think that's good. I think people, they voted 80-20 to approve the property for bonding in the referendum vote, and that's fabulous. Certainly was supportive of that. And now people can actually see the back nine, whereas before they really couldn't get a good visual of what it was. So it was safety reasons, it was, the dying trees, and then just kind of open it up a little bit. But we're certainly not looking to go in and just clear cut everything in the back nine or in the front nine. That is not the intention of this board at all.
And I can tell you that the Public Works employees were surprised at the amount of diseased trees, and then it was a mess. It was a real mess. It looked great to step back. It's great to see woods, but it was, that's how it was stated to me, a mess. It put them back on projects, other projects they would much rather be doing.
Sure.
And we had 2 arborists go in, closely look at trees. So I think, I've heard from some of the Public Works employees that they've heard comments of, well, they weren't all diseased. They were healthy. And he's like,
I
they
don't know.
weren't.
I've heard that
they
there were
weren't.
many that were, I don't know.
They weren't.
I've heard that there were many that were healthy.
I defer to the arborists and the DPW guys who've been doing this for years, and we're right there saying, and we just, as a town, on your own property, it's one thing if a tree falls, or if there's, a rampant, I think the disease was the most shocking.
Yeah, I don't think anybody disagrees with you about taking out the diseased trees. I think that's fine. It was the healthy trees that we were concerned about. And there's 2 sides to that opening it up. While it makes it nice for people in a car to be able to see across the back nine, the people in the back nine that are hiking there now are going to be seeing those cars. So there's going to be traffic going through that area that you wouldn't have seen before. And also, in the plans and the permit for the quarry, they defined those trees as being part of the buffer from the quarry. There's a lot of dust that comes up from that quarry in the summertime when they're doing some blasting on occasion. And part of what those trees did is they filtered that. Now people, when they're hiking that area, they could get hit with blasts of the dust from the quarry and stuff. So I think that there's really 2 sides to it, and I hope that the town would look at having opportunities to replant in that area, and we plant healthy trees. Right. And our group would be willing to help with the fundraising in that and helping to do some of that. So we'd like to see a new buffer put in at some point. Opening it up enough that there's a view, I mean, I think that's fine and stuff, but to have some planting there so that there's also the appropriate buffer from the traffic and stuff.
Yeah, and Jeff, that has been a part of the discussion. So,
and as Andy
forward,
suggested, this is the type of project where you get not only all these ideas, but all these different opinions. And you'll have just as many people say, it looks great now. I want to cross-country ski there. I know the stumps are going to be taken away. Just as many as, and because we kind of hear it from all angles. And it's something where you can't please everybody initially, but I think we're off to a good start, and I really have a lot of faith in this committee and the people who are on it. that, you know, it didn't become what it is overnight, so it's not going to become what it should be overnight either.
No, the group that's been working in there, the DPW folks, whatever, they've been doing a terrific job of cleaning up. I mean, I've been seeing what's been happening there with the stumps and stuff, but, you know, I would like to see some trees go back in there at some point. I was concerned, and we've certainly been hearing on our side a lot of people that were concerned about the healthy trees that were removed from that area.
You know, I could see that, you know, when Rothfuss Park, when that got developed, you know, the Boy Scouts came in, did a little grove. You know, there's opportunities when you redevelop something, you add some new trees. And, you know, Rotary, we had that little open space park, that 4-mile park that's off 250. And they had to take down some of the trees because they were diseased. They're kind of scrub trees, too. Cleaned it all up and told us what kind of trees they wanted to plant, and so Rotary went in and planted a bunch of trees. I mean, yeah, I mean, your group could do it, Boy Scouts could do it, we'll figure it out. I mean, this is, you know, don't worry. Time will come, spring and everything, and things get cleaned up.
I mean, I know there's
a
lot of balls in the air. When I spoke with Tony about this, he had said that there were plans to do some landscaping around the Clark House, but he didn't see any replanting of the trees along the perimeter there. But I know that, you know, things can progress. We can, the plans can evolve as more people talk about it.
It's pretty fluid right now, I think.
Yep. Good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? Okay. I'm sorry, did somebody raise their hand? Nope. Okay. All right, moving forward with the agenda, any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda? None? Okay. Approval of minutes for the January 2nd, 2019 meeting. Can I get a motion?
I move that the minutes from January 2nd be approved.
I'll second.
All right. Moved and second. Everybody in favor, say aye.
I'll give you a roll call.
Sure. Go ahead.
Cole.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
4 ayes.
Okay. Thank you. Item number 7, petitions.
None.
Any petitions? None? Okay. Thank you. And we will move to resolution by function. Mr. Quinn, Law and Finance.
Shadow Lake Properties, LLC, tax certiorari settlement.
So moved.
Second.
Whereas Shadow Lake Properties, LLC, heretofore commenced proceedings against the assessor and the Board of Assessment Review and other respondents for review of the assessment for the taxable status date for years 2017, 2018, and 2018-2019 for the premises located at 1855 Mile Line Road within the town of Penfield. Whereas after negotiations between the attorney and the attorney for the town and the attorneys for the petitioner, a tentative agreement has been reached between all parties on the terms of a proposed settlement subject to the approval of the town board and to the approval of the Supreme Court of the State of New York. Whereas upon due consideration of all facts and circumstances, the town board finds that the proposed compromise and settlement is fair and reasonable and should be approved. Therefore, be it resolved that the proposed settlement of the tax certiorari proceedings brought by Shadow Lake Properties, LLC for the years 2017, 2018, and 2018-2019 are hereby approved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? None? Okay, no further discussion, then roll call, please.
Cole.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
4 ayes. Setting a public hearing to consider a conditional use permit to allow outdoor live music at Murphy's Law located at 1400 Empire Boulevard.
So moved.
Second.
Whereas an application has been received by the Penfield Town Board for the issuance of a conditional use permit pursuant to Chapter 250-5.9.B-1 of the Code to allow outdoor live music at Murphy's Law at 1400 Empire Boulevard, located in the LaSalle's Landing Development Zoning District. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board shall hold a public hearing at the Penfield Town Hall on March 6, 2019 at 7 p.m. on said date to consider the said application and to hear all persons interested in the question of the issuance of a conditional use permit to allow outdoor live music at Murphy's Law in the LaSalle's Landing Development Zoning District. Thank you.
Okay, any discussion? No further discussion. Roll call, please.
Cole.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
4 ayes. Budget amendment for 2018 in the Library Fund.
So moved.
Second.
Whereas at their monthly meetings, the library board recognized the receipt of donations received during the fourth quarter of 2018 in the amount of $1,617.96 to be used for library activities. And whereas the town board desires to have an up-to-date budget in relation to current appropriations and revenues. Now therefore be it resolved that the following 2018 budget amendment be approved. From revenue amount $1,617.96 to appropriations in the same amount. Thank you.
Okay, any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, roll call, please.
Cole.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
4 ayes. Naming of a survey consultant to the town of Penfield.
Moved.
Second.
Be it resolved that Costage Engineering is named the survey consultant for the town of Penfield, and be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to sign a contract with Costage Engineering as outlined in its letter on file with the town clerk, which includes a schedule of fee for various services to be provided by Costage Engineering for 2019 and 2020. Be it further resolved that the town board reserves the option to assign specific projects to internal staff and to other qualified surveying firms in addition to Costage as necessary to represent the town. Such other qualified firms will be compensated for the business referred to them at an agreed-upon fee depending on the nature of the services performed.
Okay, any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, roll call, please.
Cole.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
4 ayes. Making a determination of non-significant and adopting a negative declaration for new sidewalks in the Willow Pond neighborhood.
So moved.
Second.
Whereas the town board supports the construction of a 440 linear feet of new sidewalks on the east side of Sanders Farm Road and 391 linear feet of new sidewalks on the south side of Crown Oak Drive to Wegmans Plaza. And whereas the proposed locations of the sidewalks were reviewed and it was determined that they will not have a detrimental impact on the environment. Whereas the town board, acting as a lead agency, pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, has classified this proposal as an unlisted action. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby makes a determination of non-significance and adopts a negative declaration for this proposal, a copy of which is attached hereto and made a part of.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Cole.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
4 ayes. Awarding contract for printing program brochures.
So moved.
Second.
Sealed proposals were sought and requested to furnish the Town of Penfield Recreation Department with printing the seasonal program brochure for 2019 calendar year, including the summer, fall, and winter, spring issues to meet the specifications. On Thursday, January 17th, 2019, proposals from the following companies were received, open, and read publicly: Penny Lane Printing, Webster Printing, and Courier Printing Corp. Be it resolved that the contract be awarded to Penny Lane Printing, with the low bidder overall for the bids that included these alternatives, 1, 2, and 3 of each prospective bid. So therefore, be resolved, the bid specifications, the bid documents submitted by the formal contract be reviewed and approved by the town attorney.
Thank you. Discussion? Okay, can I get roll call, please?
Cole.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
4 ayes. Authorization for supervisor to sign recreation contracts.
So moved.
Second.
This resolution authorizes the town supervisor to sign 3 recreation contracts. One of them is for Young Explosives to provide the stage, sound, and lighting engineering crowd control barriers for the Independence Day event, Saturday, June 29th, 2019.
Also known as the firework.
Yeah, sound and lighting.
Yes, you didn't.
Yeah, and I think it's important to know that one of the reasons why we approve this, typically we approve this in the winter before 4th of July, is that we get in early and it saves us a couple $1,000s on our contract with Young Explosives versus waiting until the spring, early part of the summer, where everybody starts lining up for fireworks services, and the demand of it goes up, therefore the cost goes up. So I applaud Supervisor LaFountain with getting in early, saves us a couple $1,000s on that 4th of July firework display cost.
Exactly, and I don't always read the recreation contract, but this one I like to read, just like anything with the parade, because it just gets you ready for the summer. It's coming.
Okay, any other comments? Roll call, please.
Cole.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
4 ayes.
All right, that concludes resolutions by function. Any old business before the board? None? Any new business before the board? None? Second opportunity for public participation. Anyone in the audience that would like to participate, or anybody online? Seeing none, moving on to adjournment. So that will conclude tonight's meeting. Thank you very much. The next meeting of the Penfield Town Board will be on Wednesday, February 20th. Hope Supervisor LaFountain is doing well with his knee replacement, and have a safe evening. Good night.